awesome guy, and a great football coach, and I know we appreciate working with him down here. And I know that the Big Ten guys all have, if they're not aware of it, they changed their meetings. They got these meetings to go to tomorrow, and they still made it to get in here on Thursday night. So, Coach, we appreciate it. And
thanks, Ed. Thanks. You know, when you have meetings, a lot of you guys are head coaches, you know what those meetings are like. Nothing gets done. We have no say on anything. And so it's really a waste of damn time, to be honest with you. But if not, Jim Delaney gets upset with us, and I'd rather go for an hour or 2 hours or whatever it's going to be, fly back here tomorrow to hear coaches speak and be around you guys. So it's just part of it. I want to thank the association, number one, for giving us the opportunity to come down. You know, most of you may know, and I know a lot of guys in this room, but I do have a chance to do a lot of clinics, and far and away, and I think this is probably the 8th year that I've been at this clinic. I think it's the best clinic in this country. And I mean that for the simple fact that the guys in this room and the passion that the state of Ohio, and I'm proud to be from this state, and I grew up in Dayton and went to high school in Kettering and all those things, but there's always been a tremendous love and passion for the game of football and for coaching. And, you know, I can't tell you how much it means. I think all our staff is here for us to be here and to share and talk football with you. There's all kinds of ways that we can coach football. There's all kinds of ways that we can teach a technique more fundamental. But there's one thing we have to do is remember the responsibility that we have as a coach. And I can't tell you how important that is. And there's guys in this room who have been coaching a long time, and guys with a hell of a lot of experience, and guys who have raised a lot of kids. But to be called coach and understand what that is, to me, means everything. And how we mentor and grow young men, and that's what we want to do at Michigan. And the guys on this staff, I don't hire them until they don't say why they coach, and if it doesn't have to do with the influence and the impact that we get to have on 18, 23-year-olds, they will not coach at the University of Michigan. That won't happen, because we take it personal. And I hope all of you do. And there's young guys that are in this room who some are in their first year, some are waiting to start coaching. Remember what the responsibility is. And I'm not lecturing anybody, but I feel so strongly about it that we got to remember that. A couple things. We had a good year. We did not have a great year. Having a great year is winning the Big Ten championship. We had a bunch of seniors who made a decision that they were going to play together, and they were going to play for Michigan. And we were fortunate enough to win some football games, fortunate enough to win a bowl game down in New Orleans, and we had a group of guys who flocked together and stayed together, who understood what it is to be a team, and understood the toughness that it takes. And I'm basically going to talk about the most important position in a game of football. And I know Pat talked about linebackers. I was a linebacker 70 pounds ago. Now I'm a nose tackle, all right? All right? And some of you guys were too, so don't just laugh at me. All right? But defensive line, that's where the game's played. The game starts there, it ends there. We're fortunate to have a quarterback who's pretty special with his feet. But I can promise you, if those guys up front offensively and those guys on the defensive side of the ball aren't playing their tails off, he's going to be on his back throwing the football. or he's not going to be able to get the read he needs to do the things that we want to do offensively. So on both sides of the ball, I just happen to love the defensive line, okay? Because I'm a defensive-minded coach. And our defensive line in Michigan were kind of special because we have an outstanding defensive line coach, and a guy named Jerry Montgomery. And Jerry, you right here? Yeah, stand up. Jerry is he was a 4-year starter at the University of Iowa as a defensive lineman. He is a tremendous technician, tremendous coach, does a great job mentoring them. So we got a great coach there. Greg Madison. Coach Matty, will you stand up? Our defensive coordinator. Greg's resume speaks for itself, especially if you've been in this profession. But for 28 years of his coaching, he was a defensive line coach. I'm a head football coach. I coach the nose tackle every day because that's what I love to do. And that's what I'm best at. And coaching those guys up front, if you're going to Michigan, you're going to get your ass coached. I promise you that. Because of the different guys that we have on the staff and what we do. One thing real quick, and I got a couple things that are a little bit team related, but these are the 4 cornerstones. When we started back in January 11, 2011, that we sat down with our football team. And that's talking about commitment, that's talking about accountability, that's talking about the respect that we're going to have for each other, and the trust that we want to build as a football team. And this year, I can honestly tell you, being around a lot of football teams, this is what the 132nd team at the University of Michigan did. They had great commitment to each other. That means the guy was supposed to be in class, his ass was in class. He didn't have to get up at 5:30 in the morning with Coach Wellman and push plates. He was in class. He was committed to his teammates. Same thing with the accountability. If we're doing winter conditioning and you need to go through that line, your ass is going, pardon my language, through that line. Because we are going to be accountable to everybody on that team. Respect. Respect. We have kids, like most Division I schools do, from socioeconomic backgrounds that are different, from different parts of the country, religious differences. We all have the right to be in Michigan. We all have the right. So we're going to respect each other within that right to be there. And the last thing is the trust. The trust that our guys show this year for each other. Because if we didn't have that trust, we would not have won 11 football games. But those are things that we talk about all the time. Okay? Now, let's talk about some defensive lines. 19. You guys see that all right? I don't use PowerPoint. I don't even know what that is. I don't Twitter. I don't have email. I don't, so don't try and email me. Because I don't email. I don't Facebook. This Twitter stuff. You know, why would I want to let somebody know I was going to McDonald's get a cheeseburger? Right? I mean, seriously. People know I'm lying because they know it'd be 4 cheeseburgers, right? So, my point is, why do I want people to know? But that's a whole different social media topic, okay? In 1984, I got hired by a guy named Jack Harbaugh at Western Michigan University. That's the first time I met Greg Madison. I got hired there, and Jack, some of you probably know, some may have gone to school with him, a tremendous football coach. Unbelievable football coach. The organization, the intensity that he taught with the game of football. In 84, 85, and 86, I had the privilege to coach with Coach Harbaugh. In 1984, he put down on the board 5 principles of defense. And why I'm showing this to you is, number one, I think it's daggone important. And secondly, every fall and every spring, that's the first thing I go through with defensive linemen. Okay? 5 principles. Number one is the attack the line of scrimmage. There's a lot of different ways that you can think about that. But it all starts with the mentality of how you're going to play the game of football. It all starts with a stance. It all starts with your alignment. It all starts with a concentration and focus of what our key is. What is that key that I've got to be involved with? And this doesn't matter. It's 5 principle, either position. If you're teaching linebackers to read the guards or the backs, it's the same thing. You've got to be in a good alignment. You've got to be in a good stance. You need to know. You can't take it for granted. In 1997, we won the national championship at Michigan. In 1998, we start the first 2 games of the year, and we've got 9 starters back on defense. We go up to South Bend and get our butts handed to us from a Notre Dame team. We were preseason ranked number 1 in the country. 9 starters back. We lost a corner by the name of Woodson, who was a pretty good player. And we lost the defensive lineman named Glenn Steele, who was an All-American also. Okay? We go home in the big house the next week. We're playing Syracuse. They got a guy named McNabb. Wasn't bad. All right? And we get beat. To this day, I take those 2 losses personal, because that was my fault as a defensive line coach. Because I didn't do the job of going through the 5 principles of defense when we started fall camp. I had 3 starters back of a defense that gave up 7 points a game. Damn good football players. All of them, when they graduated, played in the National Football League. But I blame myself to this day that I didn't do a job coaching those guys up front. So you can't take it for granted. Mentality of the finish, attack the line of scrimmage. Second key, second principle, deliver a blow and control the blocker. Hold on, talk to each other a minute. You guys don't like each other, I can see that. Got a long way to go, all right? But deliver a blow, that goes with your fundamentals. We're going to talk about fundamentals as far as how we take on blocks. But again, it's for every defensive position. If I'm a corner and I'm getting stop blocked, what are my fundamentals? Deliver a blow and control the blocker. How am I going to do that? Where are my hands going to be? Where are my eyes going to be? I've got to be disciplined with my feet, my hands, and my eyes. Okay? Fundamentals and techniques of hands, body position and leverage, and always playing with my hands above my eyes. And we'll talk about that a little more in a second. Third principle, find the ball. Find the ball. How are you going to find the football? Number 1, your reaction to your team. I've coached football for 30 years now. And a lot of guys, there's guys in here have coached it a lot longer than that. But I can tell you one thing. The offense, and I'm talking from a defensive perspective, 99% of the time, they are going to tell you where the ball's going. If you will do a great job with your keys, your visual keys, reaction, that all starts with having great focus and great attention to detail. The more focus you put into anything, the more intensity you have. When you play up front, you've got to have an unbelievable intensity of how you're going to play the game. Okay? Number 4, defeat the blocker and disengage. We call it ragdoll sometimes, whatever you want to call it. But I've got to do a great job of being in control, my face and hands and the placement of it, and then disengaging a ragdoll escape from the block. Okay? And the 5th thing is your pursuit to the football. There's one thing I can tell you, Brady did when he came in as a defensive coordinator in Michigan. We weren't as good as we needed to be for the 3 previous years. But I'm going to tell you what, You come up and watch us practice. You come up and watch those guys. There's no excuse for an effort to the ball. No excuse. No excuse. So my effort to the ball and get to the ball in bad intention. Those 5 principles of defense, when you teach them, when you talk about them, you got to keep them in order. They have to be in order. Because I cannot try and defeat the blocker disengage, defeat the blocker disengage if I don't have deliver a blow and control the blocker. If I'm a defensive lineman, I've got to have that blocker where I need him with great hands, great fundamentals, my hands above the eyes, my thumbs up, my elbows on contact, extended, so I can control it. Because if I try and get off a block before I've got that block controlled, I'm going to get my ass blocked. If I try and find that football with my eyes before I deliver a blow and I've got control, I am going to get my butt blocked because my eyes aren't where they need to be. Okay? Those 5 principles of football have to stay in order. I can't pursue the ball if I don't have an attack line of scrimmage mentality on how I want to play the game and how I want to finish on every play. Okay? Some of you guys, I hope you take that with you. I hope one guy takes it with you. And I hope you talk about it with your players. And you maybe don't have to get into it as much or whatever. You guys are all on time and all those things. But I can tell you one thing, and I imagine you can do the same thing offensively, but those things are what's important in teaching your kids. Okay? The other thing, and this, I think another thing that I know as a position coach, and like I told you, I coach an old staff. Okay? Every year, depending on the defense scheme or the different techniques, I write up the things that I got to make sure I'm working on. Okay? Because I am not going to assume. We lost 3 starters up front this year, 3 seniors. Played pretty good football for us in their senior year, which is an expectation at Michigan. But they played pretty well. So we're going to be a young football team. My point is, this spring, when we start our drills and we start going, first thing I'm going to go through as a coach is the one shade and the different things we're asking him to do. The different techniques, the different movements, pass rush, run play, to make sure that I'm going through my mind so that I don't cheat that kid. Because at the end of the day, we cannot cheat the kids. Okay? So, always I hate your progression, you've got to go over. When we get back to fall camp in the summer, first thing I'm going to go through, 5 principles of defense, and then the progression, to make sure that I'm not going to cheat those kids. Okay? All right. First thing we're going to talk about is in the run game. And believe me, you just don't have time to do it all. But to play great defense, you got to stop the run. I don't give a crap what else you're talking about. And we're going to talk about it from a one-gap defense. So an 8-man box. Okay? An 8-man box. All right? In the run game. Okay? One thing we talk about, if we're going to be a one-gap defense, we're going to be an over-penetrating, over-attacking, one-gap defense. Because if I'm going to line up, what's your name? John? All right? If I'm going to line up and I'm going to be one-gap responsibility, okay, then I must be over-penetrating. Because all the gaps are taken care of if we're playing 8-man front football. Okay? They're all taken care of. So when we talk a 1 shade, a 3 shade, a 5 shade. It can be your 9 technique. Doesn't matter. It all starts there. Okay? Mentality of play. And that goes back to the first principle. Okay? You cannot tell your guys, and this gets back to being a one-gap, penetrating, over-attacking defense. You cannot tell your guys to sit and wait. If you're going to play that style and be a read defense, then be a read defense. And I would suggest you play 2-gap if you're going to be a read defense. Okay? My point is, we're going to be a reaction defense, but it's all pre-snap thoughts. I know everybody thinks we get a lot more time with our guys than you do. I think the problem is, maybe you got to play guys on both sides of the ball. That's a little bit of a problem. I understand that. But the one thing I can tell you, you're talking about a mentality of how you want to play and the pre-snap thoughts that if you're coaching defensive linemen, they ought to know. Number one, the alignments and the splits. Stances. We talk about stances of offensive linemen. We're talking about splits of offensive linemen. And we talk bird and rabbit calls. If a guy's light on his hands, that's going to be a bird call. Because we're getting pull or pass. If he's heavy on his hands, it's going to be a rabbit call. Okay? Take out of this what you think you can. It's all based on weight and leverage. Personnel groups in the game. Okay? Personnel groups have become more and more of a factor in the game of football. You know, 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, 2 backs in the backfield, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers, whatever it might be. That's all part of it. And every offensive coach, and don't take this bad, but you all have certain things you're going to do out of those down distances and out of those personnel groups. You're not that damn smart. Okay? Defensive guys are smart. Alright? Shit, yeah. Alright? Alright? The other thing is backfield sets and formations. Where's the offset back? Is it a home position? Is it true gun? All those things that we're talking about, but we talk about a little bit the one-gap, run that up. One-gap alignments, very loose foot alignment, or tight crotch alignment. If we're going to play an option football team, we play Air Force next year. And we're going to get a little bit of midline in there. Okay? Then we're going to play that thing a little heavier. Instead of a foot on foot, we're going to be crotch aligned. My foot on his crotch. So that I can friction blocks more. Because defensive linemen, we got a job to do when you play option football, and that's to beat the hell out of the fullback. He's our guy. We want to see if they'll get the third fullback in the game. All right, if we get to the third fullback, then those guys up front have done a heck of a job. Okay? That's the important part of it. But the only way they can do that is if we tighten down and get friction aligned. So those alignments are what's critical. Okay? Okay? All right. I need somebody to demonstrate. I don't know how many years ago. Hey, yeah, come here. Yeah, good. You can do it, but I sure don't anymore. This is Daniel F. His father was senior. Senior in here? Probably not. But Danny played wide receiver for us at Ball State and did a hell of a job for us, okay? All right, Danny, you're a wide receiver, so you know nothing about defensive line, right? Good. Get up here on stage, let me see. This is an interactive talk that we're having. I forgot to tell you all that. Our base alignment, our base stance, okay? Again, if I'm a center, or Dan's a center, I be the center. Okay? Dan's a center, I'm a 1 shot. It doesn't matter. It could be a 3, it could be a 5, it could be a 9. Play a 1-gap defense. Alright? We use what we call 3.5-point stance. Okay? 90% of the time. Okay? We get the goal line, it changes a little bit for how you want to react and what you want to do. But we are always going to be staggered with our inside foot back. Ball's in the air. I don't know if you guys can see that well enough. If you can't, move up. Alright? But ball's in the air. Like this alright? So you're going to get the stance because I'll rip my pants if I do. Hey, look, I'm being honest with you. Alright? So 3.5 point stance, right? Number one, we want our feet, shoulders width apart. You know, you guys all stand up. Let's go. Bullshit. You're sitting there, not doing anything. Stand up. Because this will help you. I'm not going to get you all the way down. Alright? Put your feet shoulder width apart and put your toes right down the field. Okay? Who's got long legs? Somebody here got long legs? You may have to get a tad wider. You should be facing this one. Alright? You never listen to me as a receiver either. Alright? Alright? Now, I want to take, if I'm getting in a right-handed stance, which would mean I'm on the left side of the line of scrimmage, I want to take my right toe and put it in the instep of my left foot. Okay? I want to make sure my toes are going where? Straight ahead, down the field. Okay? Alright? Next thing I want to do, I want to bend down and put my elbows on my knees. Okay? Let's go. What you looking at me for? I just did it. I'll put my eyes up. Right here on my knees. Now, everybody relax and get up. Some of you guys can't do it. Right? I'm struggling myself. Okay? My point is, when some of you went down, okay, to put your elbows on your knees, your toes started going out. We don't want you to play with your toes out. Okay? So I may have to kick my heels out a little more to overcompensate so that when I do go down, I'm going to be in a good stance. Everybody got that? Okay, let's try it again. Ready? Set. Go down. All right, have your eyes up. Eyes up. All right, good. Relax a minute. All right, now, I'll let Dan go ahead and sit down. I'll let Dan do the rest. All right? Now Dan's going to get the stance like we talked about. He's going to have his toes in the instep. Right hand stance, Dan. Ready? All right? Okay, get out. What? But it doesn't matter. Damn, they're football boots. You can tell him like offense. He's worried about his butt being good. Freaking specialist. All right, now he's going to be in this position. Now he just wants to take his arm, right foot back, right arm down, and just naturally put it out in front of him. All right? Okay. Now, turn this way. There you go. You do work, right? Now, the only thing I can tell you about this stance, okay, we talked about being a one-gap defense, over-penetrating, over-reacting. Over-penetrating, over-attacking. So, for Dan, I would want his hand here. Because we want his ass up, all right, his eyes on his target, okay, and where he can see and the ability to come off the ball. The other thing, he's going to step with the inside foot closest to the man. The one thing, that was bad. Alright, or one shape. His eyes got to be on his target. Alright, good. Stay right here. Give him a hand for that. Put the big one first. Okay, good. Alright, we're going to talk about visual key because that's the next important thing. Okay, after the stand. Your visual key. What are you focused in on? What are you looking at? Okay? And the one thing I've always done is I'll put that dot up on the board. I'll draw a big dot, and sometimes I'll put a letter in the middle of it. Okay? You guys in the back, can you see that dot? Yes or no? Can you speak, please? Jesus Christ. I'm telling you. You guys see the dot? That's all I care about. Yeah, see the dot. Pretty easy, can you see the dot? Yes or no? Good. I told you, interactive, having fun, coaching football. But the other one. You see that dot? Yes. As well as the other one? No, right? Can you see the H in the middle of that dot? Can you see it? There's not one in there. Okay? Here's the point. From that big dot, it's pretty easy to see. From that little dot, it takes you a little more focus, a little more concentration. When we key, and Dan's the center, and I'm down here, my visual key is his hip. It doesn't matter if I'm playing a 1 shape, doesn't matter if I'm playing a 3 shape, doesn't matter if I'm playing a 5 shape. Because that hip is going to move before the rest of his body. Because if he's going to step to me. All the movement starts at the hip to lift that foot up. No. Go away. Right? Step that way. Same thing. Everything's going to start moving that way. We say the hip, and we talk about keying the hip. Number one, we want a small audience. So we really have to focus. We really have to be engaged in what we're doing. The second reason is the hip can only do 3 things. It can come at me, go away from me, or it can hard hat or high hat. All right, pop up for pass. So that hip, if I'm the offensive lineman and I'm here, I can go down away from him. I can come out at him, or I can pass pro. Okay? So we focus, our mentality is on the hip. Okay? Everybody got that? All right? Well, I can look up here, right? All right? The one thing we talk about is keys. And I will tell you, so many kids, we have a visual key and we have a pressure key. So many kids, when you get power school, okay, guard, tackle, combination block. All right? The first thing they want to do, okay, I need somebody else. Come on. Okay, let's get it. What's your name? John? All right, you're tackle, here's guard. Visual key. Where's my visual key? The guard. I'm a 3 technique, let's say. There it is, right there, that hip. He, the adjacent man, is my pressure key. So many times you'll see guys, when this guy engages on a power scoop, number one, what's this guy usually do? He's going to play the block, but all of a sudden he wants to look and see what this guy's doing. Okay? That can't happen. You have a visual key that you've got to attack. You have a visual key that you have to destroy. If you don't look at it that way, your guys are going to get blocked up and down the field. Okay? Combination blocks and double teams. I attack pad under pad. We call it tip under tip. My shoulder tip under his shoulder tip. Okay? We don't talk about the first step. I used to years ago. I want to have a staggered stance. I want to have my middle weight on a foot that's up closer. But I'm not going to tell this guy, give me a 6-inch step. All right? I used to 25 years ago, but that's a bunch of bull crap. Really is. Because the first step isn't the most important step. It's the second step. And how fast I can drive that step into the ground. If I'm concentrating on driving that step into the ground, then I'm going to take a short first step. How many of your defensive linemen do you see? And John, just going to have you. You got to look. This one. Go ahead and just walk down like you got them now. How many times do you see guys all the way up the field? Because they take too big of a first step. Does that make sense here? Yes, no, never had it happen to you? They're coaching good guys. All right? But you want the attack mentality. That's what you're going to coach in a one-gap scheme. You want to get off the ball. And I'm with that all the way. But if I overstride on my first step, now I'm off balance. Now I can't redirect my strength and my power, which comes from my belly button, the second step in the ground. That's the step that's critical. So if I've got a visual key, here's my pressure, visual key here, and John's it, if John comes out to me on a reach, that first step, because I'm going to get the second step in the ground, that's going to be quick. If John's going to gap down inside, dang. Alright, he's going to block down inside, boom, I might be a little longer, but then I'm going to make up ground. But I still want to get the second step in the ground as quickly as I can. We call it a slap step. Get in the ground. Get in the ground. Okay? If I do that, I'm still going to play with great leverage. Because I'm going to have the bends I need in my ankles, my knees, and my hips. How quick can I get it into the ground? Okay? Visual key. Critical. Critical. I know a bunch of you guys have had guys, they start fighting back on the power shoot, and you hear them, they get blocked. Because they're not defeating the visual key. Okay? We have a pressure key, and that pressure key is always the adjacent offensive line. Okay? Alright. You guys go ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to get you back up a little bit. Okay? So, with key in the near hip, pressure key, you got to feel it. If you see a pressure key, you're beat. If you're playing double teams, you're playing power scoop, and you see your pressure key, you're going to be blocked. I've seen it too many times. And we've coached some guys who are pretty good, and I can tell you, when I see them hanging back here, they're going to get blocked. Okay? So pressure key. One gap drills. Okay? Number one is just what we call a hip drill. Okay? And I don't have this on tape, so sorry. Too bad. I don't have it on tape. Okay? I don't do a lot of that, to be honest with you. All right? But it's a hip drill. All our strength and all our power is going to come from our belly button on out. I've got to play great with my hips. And all that drill is we get down in a 3.5 point stance, and we're going to come out of our stance not taking a step. What I'm going to see them do is see how hard and how fast they can come out violently into a guy holding a bag so that they can get their hips extended. You got to have good partners. Okay? Usually I do this with a couple guys in the audience. Do I have any volunteers? I know you can do it. I don't know what you do. All right? Come on. Yeah, come on, Roy. Roy, you're going to be the partner. All right? This is Roy Mann. Roy is a graduate assistant, played linebacker at Michigan. Tremendous young man. How he's coaching no line. Jeez, I'll tell you. Went to crap. All right. Get the 3.5 points. All right. And Roy is going to be the dummy. All right. So we'll go right on your stance. Dummy. All right. We should probably do it up here, but I'm afraid to slip. Go ahead. Yeah, let's go there. Labor each side. All right, here we go. You're going to get down to 3.5. Okay. You're going to come out of your stance, move back a little bit, get your chest. Aiming points are always the chest place. We always want to make contact with what? Our thumbs up and our elbows out. When we do drill work, we always try and over-exaggerate it. All the way out. All the way out. So you're going to just do this, what we call a hip drill. You're going to come off, you're going to punch him right here in the chest. Don't move your feet. Keep your feet there. I hope you don't slip. There we go. Set. Up. All right, good. Come back. You took a step, though, didn't you? We don't want to take a step. What we want to see is all the energy and all the strength coming from your butt out to this guy. All right? Go ahead. Here we go. Get your hands where they need to be. Set. Up. All right, good. Not bad. Not bad. All right, now if you were any tougher or stronger, he wouldn't have moved you. So let's see it one more time. Hey, Roy works out 4 times a day. Come on. He does a P15, P45, all that stuff. Here we go. Ready, set, hey! All right, good, good, good. That drill we always start with. You guys might just stay right here. We always start with that drill. And we start with that drill number 1 because we want to really talk to them about getting all their strength from their hips. You guys all do squats, and some people do leg sleds, all that. You're trying to build that power, all that kind of thing. Well, it's great to be powerful, but if you don't have the quickness and the right technique with it, it doesn't do you any good. Okay? But that's the first thing we do is split out the hips, lead with the hands and eyes. But one thing I should always talk about, and I didn't enough, we want to play the game of football with our eyes. You always play with your eyes. Okay? What fight did they just have an anniversary of? It's like today or yesterday. Frazier and Ali, right? I don't know how many years. I can tell you, who watched that fight? Anybody remember watching that fight? Not one time did you see a punch not landed when the guy wasn't looking at what he's trying to hit. It's the same thing I talk to our guys. You been in a fight before? I get worried when I get to one and say, no, I've never been in a fight. That's the wrong place, buddy. All right? But my point is you got to be able to see what you're going to punch. So you got to talk about the eyes all the time. Okay? That drill there is one we always start off with, and it's 1 gap drill. The next drill we do is a 6-point punch drill. Okay, let's go. You're pretty good. I like what you're doing. 6-point punch drill. If you can't see the back, stand up. All right? All right? Same kind of drill. Here's the deal. And I'm sure most of you do this. But you got to do it in the winter. Your guys in the weight room, they got 15 minutes after they lift weights. I'm sure you've got some sort of mat somewhere where they can get down and do a 6-point punch. Because it's all about the great technique and fundamentals that you need to play the position with. Okay? Coaching point, 6-point punch drill. Ask how fast do my hands get from the ground to the man. Okay? Location with my eyes. We always want to be inside, because the guy that plays with the hands inside, we always want to be, with our thumbs up, and we always want to extend our contact. So Roy's going to be a good dummy. Okay? You're going to put your hands down on the ground, and you're going to punch right through his chest plate. Alright? Set. Hut. Good. Go get it. Go get it. Set. Hut. Alright, not bad. Not bad. Make sure his elbows are all the way through. Too many guys they don't get the extension on the contact. You know, we're going to play against guys who are 330-pound offensive tackles or guards or whatever. We've got to be able to extend on contact. So it's muscle memory, and it also is your fundamentals and techniques. Do it again. Here we go. One more time. Okay. Set. Hut. All right, now, the other thing you got to watch coaching, and you were pretty good. Some guys will come up sectionally. Okay? We want to, and here's what I tell the guys, you know, go to, make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and get some milk, go to Detroit Airport and watch planes take off. And they look at me like, what the hell is going on here? All right? But my point is, we always want to be hitting on an upward level. Okay? Some guys, when they first do the drill, okay, they come straight up, straight up and then out. Okay? And you'll see it happen. Again, we want to make sure we're hitting up like a plane, an airplane taking off. Okay? So go ahead, ready? Huh? 8 minutes. I started at 8. What are you talking about? Oh, bull crap. Come on. All right, here we go. Set. All right, not bad. Now, we always look for the thumbs up, we look for the grab, we want the elbows inside. Okay? Everybody got that? All right, let's go. Next drill. Now we do it from a 3.5 point stance. There you go. Same thing, we take it to a 3.5 point stance. And guys, these are all drills that you can do now. Doesn't have to be the season. You get done lifting your guys. If I'm the D-line coach at that particular school, I'm going to have those guys 20 minutes. Okay? And I don't think you guys are as much on a clock, Mike, I might be wrong, as we are. I mean, we got compliance people all over the place. You know, well, you can't do that. Well, you know, guy had to use the bathroom, so that took 5 minutes. Now they're going to take that time away from me. My point is, you've got an ability to do it, do it. And these are the most important drills you can do, period. They're not that fancy. It's doing them. All right, now, 3.5 point punch, same drill. Hitting up at a level. Ready? We'll talk about one thing. We're going to go ahead. You're right. Ready? Set. Hey! All right, not bad. Now, how fast? Second step and beating the ground. With me? You got it? Come on. Here we go. Set. Hey! Not bad. Go get it. All right, because I want to show you something else. You guys can't see, huh? Set. Hey! All right, good. Now, was his head up or his head down? Oh, come on. He's not going to get mad at the inside. That was a little bit down, right? Again, we got to see what we're going to hit, right? Keep your eyes up on it. All right, here we go. Here we go. Chin. Hey! All right, good, good. Now, the other point I want to make, and he did a great job with this, finish just the way he did that. Okay? Here we go. Chin. Hey! All right, good. Now, hands. Where should his hands be? Should be inside, thumb should be up, elbows should be turned, but where should they be? They should be high, right? You always want to play with your hands above your eyes. Because if I play with my hands above my eyes, I've got great power angles. I can move. I can get off the block. I can steer the car, whatever you want to call it. I can leverage the offensive man. All right? So I always want to play with a good man. All right? With my hands above my eyes, I've got my strength. Okay? If I play with my eyes above my hands, so I have to put your eyes above the hands. Eyes above the hands. My knees are getting locked out. I'm starting to get straight-legged. I have no power, and I cannot leverage the man. Okay? Everybody got that? Man, those drills right there, as important as anything that you can do. We get guys who come in, and you can tell some of them have been well coached, no doubt about it. But there's guys who come in who their hands, you take a full year to develop. And that's all right, believe me, that's our job. We like our job. But you got to develop it, okay? Last thing I want to show you. Thank you. See, where's Joe? Come here, Will. You guys can see back there. Yeah. The last thing one thing I think you ought to, all these drills you can do all year long. Okay? You don't need pads, you don't need all that stuff. You really don't. You can do them everywhere. The one drill that we do, and we do it constantly, our guys do it right now. They do it in the summer, is we do a wall drill. And they're tremendous. And if you have a camp at your high school where you're getting the younger guys up, during the summer, it's a great drill to teach hands, explosion out of your stance. Okay? Quickness with your second step in the ground. You can do this against a bumper of a car. You can do it against a chain link fence. You can do it against a tree. But you're teaching technique and you're teaching fundamentals. Okay? And Roy, how hard is that? Can't do it. All right, here, we'll do it on this. I did this at a Holiday Inn or somewhere, and I broke the wall, and they weren't real happy. Never been asked back to that clinic in Chicago because of it. All right, Same thing. First thing you're going to do, you're going to take your fingertips and just rub right across, all right? The only thing I'm going to touch is the fingertips, okay? Next thing, he's going to get in a good stance. Roy is a long-legged guy, so he may have to be a little wider, okay? All right, go ahead and get your stance. All right, now the whole deal is, look at your hand up there, okay? The whole deal is he's going to come out of his stance. Talked about the second step. That second step can be this big, right? Second step to the ground, how fast, how quick. This here helps you a little bit, okay? As far as he knows he's got to take a pretty quick second step or he's going to run his head into what? A wall. All right? If you use razor wire, it really gets their attention. Okay? All right? So, well, I'm going to hold this thing, and you're just going to come off. Got me? Okay? Ted. All right, good. He's too high. Too high. Can you play with leverage, please? Ted. All right, now, eyes up. Eyes up. Too wide with your hands. Was his hands too wide? They weren't they? Way too wide. Is his thumbs up? I can't see. Thumbs up. Okay, here we go. Ted. All right, now, you take that progression. Here's what happens. I'll show this part. He's done. He's down here nice and low. All right? He's got it right here. Now you want him to stand up. Don't move their feet. If they can still touch the wall, they did a good job. If they can't touch the wall, then they've leaned too much. They've leaned into it. They're not using their feet. They're not using their hips. They're not using their strength. Okay? It's a great drill. The next part of it, look, and I'll tell you when to stop. Sit. Stop. Stand straight up. Can you touch? A little bit, right? If he can't touch, he's leaning. He's leaning. This is not a game of leaning on the line of scrimmage. Okay? It's a great drill. It's a great drill. And I'll tell you, if you've got the little guys during camp or guys that you want to do those things with, it helps. Man, 6-point punch drill, hip drill, star drill coming out of your hips, 6-point punch for your hands, your hips, your extension. Okay, 3.5-point punch. Remember the visual key is everything. Okay, pressure key, don't have to worry about it. Okay, I get asked all the time, well, how do you play a double team? Play a double team by my tip being under the pressure key, the visual key's tip. And if I destroy that, I'll play the double team. I'll play the double team. If we get a power scoop, how are you going to play that? We're going to pound our visual key. This is not rocket science. If it was, I would not be coaching it. I can tell you. It really isn't. It's treating young men right, building them as men. We got 18 and 23-year-olds. You all do a great job, I'm sure. But the one thing I can tell you, every day is a different day. Every day is a different day. But you know what? I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. Wouldn't want to be doing anything else than coaching football at the University of Michigan and coaching those kids. I appreciate the opportunity. I hope you got something out of it. I can't tell you, it's so important not to think about what you're doing on a daily basis to help those kids grow. So thank you very much. Go Blue. Thank you.